Good evening, listener. This is Rings That Bind. We come to you every Thursday like this by 7 p.m. Nigerian time. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. My name is Nancy Oblite. I'm a marriage coach and a behavioral change expert. Don't forget, the intent of this show is to showcase couples who are having a happy marriage. Now, happy marriage, as we have learned even from our couples, is not a challenge-free marriage, but there are people who have decided to find tools, utilize these tools to ensure that they have a very happy marriage. And as we bring them to you, we hope that this encourages you, this keeps you on track, you learn from them. And if you are having struggles, you decide as a result of this to walk through your challenge, to seek help if you need to, and walk through the challenges that you may be having in your marriage. It is brought to you by BridgeAfrique magazine, home of Bliss, alongside PANACEA International. And today I have some very special guests in the house. There are people I've learned from in various fields, from business to relationship. I've had the opportunity to hear them talk about various subjects. So I know that today will be really interesting. Please join me as I make welcome ADEOLU and his wife, TEMITOPE AKINYEMI. Welcome. Sorry?
AKINYEMI.
AKINYEMI. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Welcome,
No
sir.
Amma. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us. Thank you.
They've been married for 20 years, about 20 years, and they are blessed with 3 children. I think one is in the university, right? And then they have a little one that is in primary school, I guess, also.
Not yet in primary.
Oh, still in nursery. Yeah, so as we get into the conversation, we'll probably touch there too. So before we go ahead, please, can you introduce yourself? Let us get to meet you and
Okay. Okay, it went off. Okay.
Oh, okay. Can you introduce yourself? Let's get to meet you and know you a bit more.
Ladies first.
Yeah, so my name is TEMITOPE AKINYEMI. Obviously, I'm a wife, I'm a mother. By training, I'm a pharmacist. I'm also very passionate about helping people build good and solid marriages. I do a couple of businesses. I'm an author and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and I'm ADEOLU AKINYEMI. I trained as an engineer, but I specialized as a human resources and development person. I have started my career with human resources. I've been involved in everything that has to do with training and recruitment. I currently teach. I teach on a number of topics: financial intelligence, business intelligence. I share the platform with her for marriages and singles and married. And I talk on blockchain. I talk on network marketing. I talk on a variety of topics. I am an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur. I enjoy seeing businesses start and grow and do well. And I am a lover of Jesus. I'm a disciple of Jesus, and I love to spread the good news.
Well, thank you so much. You also pastor a church, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Christian Citizen Center or Heaven
Citizens Christian Center.
Okay.
If you're a citizen of heaven, we're together.
It's a privilege having the both of you here. I appreciate it once again for making out time to be here with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So as we start, we have a tradition. We always want to get to hear the gist, how it all started. What was the attraction? Why you decided to settle down together? And anything you can add to that.
Okay, so that's a 45 minutes conversation. That's not one. So it's already with that. So we met in secondary school. In secondary school, we were not classmates until SS1. I had noticed her in GS2. I just noticed her. Something in my spirit. Just noticed her for noticing sake. And then next one, we got the same class, we became friends. She heard me talking about a book, a spiritual book, From Prison to Praise by Marilyn Carruthers. I was just in the book and she's like, can I get the book? Can I, said, no problem, I'll get the book for you. And then she got the book and we started conversing and all that. Secondary school went on, we're just friends, nothing serious. We went to university. She went to UI. I went to IFE, OAU. So our schools were separate. But we kept in touch. Back in the days, not so much of emails. We're writing physical letters. Sometime around my stay in IFE, somewhere around my 200 level, I got an impression in my heart. And because my heart is not on vain things, my heart is seated with Christ in God, I believe that the impression was placed there by God, that this was the person that I would do life with. So I went on a journey, traveled from Ife to UI, sought to find her, and then shared with her that, look, I'm currently 19 years old, possibly too young to get married, but I'm planning already for 7 years ahead when we'll be getting married. And I think that's, I have an impression in my heart that you are the one for me. I gave her a poem to read. I gave her a number of poems to read. She read a number of poems, spiritual poems. I sandwiched the real poem inside it. At the end of the conversation, I asked her if she already had an inkling that things were going that direction. She didn't. And she was like shocked. So we agreed there and then that, you know what, pray about this. Get clarity as well from God. We both believe in God. So get clarity from there before you begin to gist your friends and those kind of things. I left. This was June. It was June 6, 1997. I left back to school, went to busy myself about my to-dos. And then about 10 months from that date, it began to feel urgent for me. I began to feel like I need to close this loop. If you are doing, let's know. If you're not doing, let's know. I can't afford to be hanging like this, particularly because I was getting a lot of work to do, a lot more assignments to do that involved leading people in Ife, and I didn't want to lead anybody astray. I wanted to make sure that I was already, spoken for, I already cleared that part so that I can deal with everybody as a brother and know that there's nobody catching feelings or being misled. So I went back to UI and designed a strategy to speak with her, to carry her along to come and listen to a musical concert in Ife. It was a 3 days musical concert, Living Springs, and I was able to get her and a few of one of our friends also, one of our friends to join us on that trip. I got a few people in Ife, ladies, who are going to host her on my behalf. So strategy worked. She came. She still didn't answer me until she came. She came for the musical concert. And somewhere along the line, one of the days, I said, look, should I still wait, or do we have a definitive position? Are we going together, or are we just passing by? And May 2nd, 1998, 3:16 a.m. between E and H, she said yes.
Date and the time. Wow, interesting.
So we dated from then for like 6 years.
4, 3, 5.
1998,
2003.
2003, for 5 years. For 5 years. I got married October 25, 2003.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, 5.5 years actually. So yes, so that's the story from my angle.
Is it that already sorts it? I mean,
tell us what you found attractive here.
What I found attractive. Oh, I found many things attractive. But for me, I found many things attractive already. So, and I told you that we started this conversation by her desire to read a book. So she was, ready to develop herself. She loved God. She was bubbly, lively, friendly. She was a serious-minded person. So there were a number of attractions. She's a fine babe, you know. She's getting finer and finer too. So all of that was going for her. But for me, it was a little deeper as well. So the other side of it was this impression, you know. I was clear in my heart that, you know, I had a picture that 7 years from that conversation, you know, in 7 years, around 7 years from that conversation, we will get married. We will do family together. We're friends. So, and I believe that one of the best platforms to build marriage on is a platform of friendship. So everything you're doing in courtship is to build friendship. And friendship is different from intimacy. Friendship is built around other friends. Intimacy is built alone. So the friendship season where you are friends and you have friends who are your friends' friends and all those kind of things provides a season, you know, where you can be friends so that marriage can rest on that friendship. So yeah, she was a friend. She was a fine friend. I was nudged in my heart. She's blushing. We need to do something about this.
Why not?
Anything. Yeah, so yeah. I've not seen her blush in a long time.
So I want to get your perspective too.
Okay, so well, the narrative is accurate. So that we can address other things. Maybe I'll just talk about a few things that I found that attracted him to me, right? That's the English. Yeah, so we're already friends. Yeah, like he mentioned, we're already friends. But at the time when he even came around to UI, I even already had like like 2 or 3 people that were trying to hang around me, kind of thing, you know. And even though I had the picture I had in my mind was somebody who was much older. I mean, so we're classmates. But the things I found most attractive about him overruled that idea that I had that, you know, the person needs to be like 5 years older than me and he's barely a year older than me. So we had a very solid friendship. We had the vibe was very good. And he clearly loved God. And, you know, even though we're close in age, I saw that it was someone that I could follow, you know, and, you know, someone who could lead me and I could follow, I could learn from. And even though the respect was there, we still had a very solid friendship that there were no airs, there were no, you know, so it was just a good balance of all of that. And of course, at the time when he said, he showed me the poem and asked me, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't even thinking about it because I already zoned him. Like he's a very correct brother and friend, you know, that kind of, so when he asks you, why you want to spoil this thing that we have, that kind of thing, you know. So that's about 1 year, gave me an opportunity to maybe think about it a bit, but I even dropped it because he didn't come back again. So I felt, well, let's continue our friendship, you know, and all. So, and at the time when I came to Ife and then he asked me, eventually around that time, well, at the time when I got to Ife was like, it helped me finally make up my mind that I wanted to go in that direction because I met with people who I didn't know, but who knew him from another angle. So I had the benefit of seeing him through other people's eyes, people who he was in quote, pastoring them, some he was teaching them academics, some he was counseling them in their personal issues, you know. So I could really see, because, you know, sometimes you've known somebody for a lot of years and then you have the benefit of another perspective that is fresh, that is real, and that is, you know, and even the person that used to host me then was his friend, you know, and we had a very good, he says that now he's like, we're even closer now than, you know, so that the benefit of that other perspective of knowing him from another angle helped me to solidify and make up my mind that, yeah, I think this is really a great direction to go. And then I had a good friend who told me, you know, sometimes you just need somebody to like confirm what you're thinking. And I had a close friend of mine who just gave me that push, like, yeah, you know, what else really, you know, that kind of thing. So So it was just a combination of all of that. And yeah.
Wow, interesting. And I think that a lot of people put that friend, like a lot of people have friends that they could have made good partners with, but because we categorize them on friendship zone, we find it difficult to make that shift.
Yes.
And I think that many singles lose out because of that.
Yes. And I would have made that same move as well. So I can relate. Yes.
So, sir, when we spoke earlier, as I asked about the challenges you faced in your marriage, and so you said, well, you faced the normal challenges that every couple had. Immediately, you said that two things struck me. The first was that you were normalizing the challenges that you have in your relationship. Like every other person faces this challenge. And I think it's a good strategy because it keeps, since it's a mindset thing. So since it's common to everybody, it's easier to look for solutions and not to feel like, I'm there alone. And can you just buttress this a bit, what it has done for you?
Okay, so I think it's a spiritual principle. Yeah, it's a principle that works well. Sorry. Oh God, let me put this on silent. It's a principle that works well. Maybe Emma, you can start so that I can just. So I think it's a principle that works well. For many things. The Bible says there's no problem that is facing you that is not common to man.
Yeah.
So there's a big normalization there, even from God. That there's nothing you face that is specially customized for you. You're not having angelic problems. You're having human challenges. Every human being faces this, and some human beings have solved it. So if you search, you can find. Okay, if you search, you can find. So I think what is done is, I think in the initial part of the initial few first 2 years of the marriage, we kind of like felt it's as if other people are either having a very great time or they are good at faking it. So we felt people are not having problems. Yeah, people are not wearing problems on their faces. People are happy. We are disagreeing. So, but we realized, look, people can look good outside is the human nature as well. We don't try to look like what we're passing through. So we said to ourselves, you know what, why don't we spend this time fixing all the issues, identifying all the challenges, because everybody has challenges. And challenges will, the Bible says, I think it's in Job, it says, man is born to trouble as surely as sparks fly upwards. So if you strike iron with iron, it'll be a spark, and that spark will fly. And that's how, as normal as that spark is, it's how normal challenges are with human beings. So once we understood that, there's nothing that we face that is uncommon. And the same wisdom that has solved it for others, is available to solve it for us. So I think thinking that way helped us to not see a big deal in any challenge, and help us to be confident enough to approach every challenge, knowing that there's a solution, versus we'll just keep it like that. And I like something somebody said, one of the beautiful things with marriage is when you have you've set up a marriage and you have said till death do us part. It means whatever problem you have, if you don't solve the problem, you are going to live with it till death do you part. If you solve the problem, you can enjoy till death do you part. So it gives you motivation to know that this problem, we cannot store it. It needs to be addressed.
Yeah, it needs to be addressed. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Then you made mention of another thing. As you wrote the challenges you were facing, you wrote some, and then you said, I could list 20. So I now went, so that means there could be 20 challenges or more that a couple faces and they are still happy.
Yep.
Yeah. And I want you to look at that a bit and maybe stretch it and let us know a few of the challenges you're facing. Because I think that in this age, we have people that want to get married and want it all rosy. They don't want to disagree. They want people, their partners to be their buds. They should do everything together, be happy always and all. And it's really a myth, but people live and hope that that's what marriage should be.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, Yeah, so I mean, I think the primary one that I would like to speak to is maybe communication. And just like I mentioned earlier, we speak with many couples and we see that increasingly it seems like people don't want to face and address issues. They just want to play the ostrich, hide their heads. The husband who can say, I want to take a walk, I want to drive out. Or the wife will go and look for what she wants to watch, just and leaving the issue untreated. And then another issue comes, is untreated. I mean, and then it begins to pile up. And then when something very heavy happens, it seems like, what's causing all of this, all this. So communication is, I would say that communication is at the foundation of facing and managing challenges. Yeah. So is at the foundation of it. Communication is critical, and being able to have the courage to address the issue, especially when you are the one that has maybe the short end of the stick, or you're at a disadvantage when it comes to that particular issue. One needs to be able to, I mean, he spoke about the first, second year of marriage. We have to do a lot of facing and managing conflicts by addressing the issues, and then, of course, we told ourselves we will not go to bed with an issue unresolved. When you mention it to young couples these days, you'll be like, oh, yeah, is your case, if you like, and I usually just wonder these days that, hey, if we didn't establish that as a rule of thumb in our first few years of marriage, we'll not be having a breeze today. Today, I'm just thanking God that, thank God, because there were days that you'd be sleeping at 3 o'clock, you're talking through an issue, you're talking through, because you don't want to go to bed. Then it looks like, are you the one that killed? Yes, we're the one that killed Jesus. But I mean, so for us, it helped us to be able to address and manage issues. So things that have to do with communication. Okay, I have a perspective. I feel that if I communicate it, it can be misunderstood because I raised it, maybe in the past, and then it wasn't taken well. So but as we talk through it, I will know, okay, this works, this shouldn't work, because the dynamic of each marriage is really different. So, but if we don't address it, if we don't talk through it, we'll not be able to resolve. So there are many things that surround communication as a topic in itself. So communication is a key one, just like.
Okay. So if I can build a little on that, yeah, I'll say that if you come to our home and stay with us maybe for the last 10 years, you probably will not see us ever quarrel. You probably will not see us even seriously argue in a way that shows anger. And it will look like, is this heaven? But if you are in a marriage, you must understand that in everything you are building in this world, there's a maturing process. And that maturing process is like flying a plane, okay? When you want to take off, they will say fasten your seatbelts. That's because on that runway, and when you take off, it will be turbulent. But after a while, you fly to the clouds. And when you're in the clouds, the captain will announce and say, you can now unfasten your seatbelts. The cabin crew will go around and serve food. Cabin crew can stroll around. The marriage is cruising. Okay? And another time when there will be some bumps again as well is when you are landing a new child, and all of those kind of seasons. But you must understand that there's a maturing process. And that maturing process, like I said, communication is vital. And then there are a few rules as well you want to use to guide your relationship. I'll give you a few. So one rule, for example, is a 3-string chord is not easily broken. A 3-string chord is not easily broken. It means if it's just about 2 of us alone, it's easy to break. But if we involve God in our relationship and we do things out of our mutual respect for God, then it's not easily broken. Number 2, we say ascribe the best intentions. That means whatever happens, I must believe that what my wife did to hurt me, she did it with the best of intentions. She must also believe that whatever I did to hurt her, I must have done with the best of intentions. Number 3, we'll say practice advanced forgiveness, meaning I am willing to forgive you before you offend, so that when you offend, it won't pay me so much.
It'll be easy to,
4, we'll say we don't go to bed without resolving any issue. So you can have a few guidelines, and some of those things you may think, is there a formula book that has 20 items like this? I think you discover them on your journey. You learn from others, and you discover your journey as well, how to set the boundaries and the parameters around your relationship that ensures that, you are able to at least have those seatbelts are the rules. Have those seatbelts that govern you in the takeoff part of your relationship. So by the time you take off, you can remove the seatbelts. You'll still be guided by, by them. So those are my thoughts. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. As you speak, I can point out to certain things, because especially when you say assume best intentions, sometimes in conflicts, what makes it escalate is because we believe that our partners are either doing that thing deliberately to hurt us. They are being selfish, they are being greedy, they are just thinking about themselves and what they want. So coming into a conflict, assuming first that this person has the best intention, I think is really, really powerful. And then you made mention of something earlier on when we were speaking. You said that you had different expectations, different pre-education about sex. How did this play out?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Okay, you said you had different expectations, different pre-education about sex. So how did this play out, and how were you able to manage these differences to be able to have a seamless or fulfilling sexual relationship?
Okay, so something as basic as sex, for example.
Was it really different?
It's different.
Okay.
It's different for men and women generally, even without any pre-education.
Oh, okay.
It's already different. So a woman, the kind of coaching and background that a lady has about marriage already predisposes them to, there are these old wives' folk tales. It will be painful. There will be blood. Men take it as food, and all those kind of things. It's already some level of paradigm or perspective development ahead of the marriage.
Condition.
The guy has seen, the angle that the guy has been to as well is a hunter, conqueror, the emperor, the lion is here. And those kind of views. So he's going there with a bid to conquer. He wants to show his prowess by how many times he can go, how many rounds he can do, and those kind of things. So we come into a marriage relationship with that expectation. And then of course there's also the expectation saying that, that night one, you have to, if she's a virgin, this is where you disvirgin her, whatever, all those kind of perspectives. So when you come into a marriage, you have expectations. Those expectations, it takes a while to be one of them. It takes a while to establish a middle ground. It takes a while to come to have what you will agree. Okay, and that process requires re-education. It requires both of you are learning. And even if one partner thinks that they're a pro, you may be a pro at something else or at someone else. In this marriage topic, both of you need to learn together. In our own case, we are both novices. We are pros intellectually, but novices in action. So, but we had where we're coming from as well and our background. So we have to share. We have to share and say, okay, what? Why are we rushing to consummate this thing this night? So the first disagreement and agreement begins that night. To say, why we're going to have 20 years. Yeah. So why must we wound each other today? Or why must somebody wound somebody today? Is there anybody you're reporting to? Okay, so basically challenge some of the folklores with reason, and then evolve your own story from there. So of course, the difference again will be maybe the guy wants to do this every day. Typically when you buy a new game for a boy child, you buy him PS4, PS5. He doesn't want to be playing it once a week. Okay, he wants to be playing it every day. He has found something exciting, something interesting. He wants to play it morning, afternoon, and night. You know, ladies may feel different. They've gotten me a new dress. I'll wear it on Sundays. You know, I'll be secretly wearing it. The guy wants to wear it every day. You know, so essentially, those kind of differences begins to come up with ideas of, so how are we going to agree? Okay, do we need to form a timetable, or do we need to be expressive and communicate exactly what we want, and not imagine that when I touch you too many times, it means I'm asking for, you know, us to progress? Can we have codes around what we're doing? So all of those kind of things evolve, and they are friendly discussions that are not friendly discussions if you wait until the height of expectations before you clarify them. So there's this conversation that goes on from time to time. You know, there's pre-sex, there's post-sex, there's feedback, there's, you know, all of those kind of dynamics that ensures that you are journeying forward, you are growing. So anything that's going to grow, you know, has to do, plan, do, check, adjust. You know, you have to have that cycle of planning, of doing, of evaluating, of getting feedback, adjusting, and then doing again. And then that iteration, it doesn't just form a circle, it becomes a growing circle because you're always getting better at what you're doing. But yes, those differences were there. It wasn't because we had experience, but even in information consumption, is different from guys and ladies. This is
when she said difference, I was thinking from perspective of our experience level also. So okay. I mean, you've already clarified. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, okay, when you asked the question and I said, you know, that difference in expectation, is interesting because what happens when you have maybe you didn't know anything about something before, and then over time you have learned, you have kind of evened out, it's interesting because for sex, for example, we had to, and we do that even for couples now, we had to ensure that we got not only on the same page, but, of course, improved our level of proficiency and, and become experts at it. So we actually have a library, we have a library of books. There's a lot of material, even on sex for married couples. We have to invest in that, and ensure that, because that area is a very, very important area. People say that that there's a strong relationship between your sex life and your productivity and your happiness level, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of research in all of that side. So I think it helped, and of course the difference in appetite level was a lot wider. I think is relatively being matched up, and yeah, pretty much. I think the topic of communication I spoke about earlier would also still help to be able. Yeah, it will also still help in. If I have an expectation and I'm able to communicate it, the other person will be like, where did you bring that one from? So that's what I think now. I said, no, come, let us, it's when that expectation is communicated that I can see that, where the gap is much, and then we can address it, and move forward. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting as you talk about communication and how you move through learning. Now, a lot of people think that they shouldn't learn sex that is natural. It is something that we're born to know, since we are humans and the desire comes naturally. And then the other thing about communication, people talk about compatibility, sexual compatibility. I often argue that it is built. It is not an automatic thing. So I want you to weigh in on these thoughts.
Okay, so I would like to use an illustration. So I feel that many things in life we are born with. Yeah. So we are born with the ability to speak, not back. But you and I know that there are better speakers. People have proficiency in speaking. Yeah. We have the capacity to run, but there's different capacity in running.
Based on training,
based on exposure, based on practice. There are different abilities for different things. There are things everybody can do, but you can gain proficiency and make it better. So I look at sex, topic of sex is like playing table tennis. Okay. When you're playing table tennis, and I like table tennis because it's a very simple game. Guys can play, ladies can play. And when you're playing table tennis, the first time you get to play table tennis, you're going to handle the bats in a very funny way. Okay. You hit the egg and you will know, should I hit it down or should I hit it up? You are going to have all those clumsiness. And that clumsiness is how sex starts. No matter how proficient you think you are, there's a level of clumsiness, particularly. So if I'm very good at table tennis, for example, and I'm playing somebody who is not good, I will need to reduce my skill level. Otherwise, I will be playing with the wall. If I smash it, the ball will go to the wall.
And if you come next and say, let's play,
and the person will not want to play again. So I have to come to a level where we do it at our own level of clumsiness as we start. And then we begin to improve. You will never improve because you read more books. More books can give you guidance on how to position your hand and how, how it should be 45 degrees angle and how you should put one finger or two fingers at the back of the bat if you want to be smashing regularly or whatever you want to do. Books can guide you in those things, but practice will show you this is how it works. So you want to begin to have a lot of practice. Now, marriage is an institution that God has sanctioned and made possible for you to practice. Yeah. You don't have to practice with other people because you're not going to manifest on other people as well. You can practice with your partner. Okay. And of course, sometimes, so you the more you do, and you don't just do and sleep, you just don't do and those. You do, and then you honestly have a feedback session. And it's not official. It's not a take your textbook and let me take notes. It's just a how was that, the person says, that was very good. I like this, I like that, I liked when this happened. The person is giving you cues for what they like so that the next one can be better. The next one can be better. So it's a journey. It's a journey. Everything in life that is done well, okay, requires a journey of amateur to, somebody who is mid-level expertise to professional. Okay, so, and I believe that in marriage as well, those areas, your communication can become an expert level, your sexual life can become an expert level, your ability to, to preempt each other's needs and fulfill them can grow. So yeah, so that's how we see the journey.
Well, interesting. Now, I am looking at the time because I know you have another meeting, so I don't want to overstretch you. But before you go, we have listeners listening to us. Let's assume that one of them is struggling in their marriage, trying to harmonize, come to this place where things flow better. What would be your recommendation? What would you say to them to just encourage them to keep at it until they come out on the other side better?
Well, like I usually would say that it takes two willing people. I mean, that willingness needs to be there. Two willing people to make a marriage work out. If one person is really, really agitated about making things work, and there's a bit of willingness in the other party, then we have something that has the capacity to still, do well. I think with a lot of wisdom, the person who, like he usually says, the person that sees it first has the benefit of, has the benefit of a more rounded perspective and can, like they say in Yoruba, you can, be orokale means that you can, with wisdom, put the cards on the table, ensuring that the end that you both want to achieve is what is brought forward, not saying that, not throwing out what is not working or trying to do as if, okay, one person is not doing this right. So I think with a lot of wisdom, those conversations can begin to happen, and sometimes as well, when people come and maybe listen to a session like this, or they listen to something, or they watch something, and they just get quite overwhelmed about the fact that, my marriage, this is not working, this is not okay. They go to their spouse with that energy and they just dump a lot of stuff, and then it just backfires. Yeah. So there's a lot of maturity, there's a lot of wisdom, there's a lot of piecemeal, there's a lot of piecemeal, just drop a little thing there. Let it just be stewing, continue. Then come back, just drop. So I think many times the agitation is a lot, right? And the maturity level is also not really there. So I think my advice to this person is, if your spouse is just a little bit willing to make it work, then you have something great in your hands. But you need a lot of wisdom to begin to make the conversations flow, because it is a flow. You need to be able to trigger your spouse to begin to also engage in those conversations. So you're not going to solve everything that has been piling up, all the issues that have been piling up for years, in one day or 1 week or 1 month or even 1 year in some cases. You have to just trust God, apply a lot of wisdom, maturity, and then piecemeal, begin to have those conversations and celebrate the wins. Some people have been married to somebody for 8 years, 9 years. The person was doing this particular thing. And then with wisdom, you're able to raise a topic or raise something, and then you're seeing that there's response and small baby steps. Man, that's huge, And, finally, before I get him to also say what he wants to say, sometimes people don't focus on their own marriage. They don't. Can you not see? So? No. At least you married each other. This is where you are. This is where you want to get to. So focus on it. Celebrate the wins, the baby steps as you are going, as you look forward to where you want to get to. And I believe that, there are lots of marriages that have potential to really do well. If people just apply, the wisdom, the maturity, all of the things I just mentioned earlier, we can really make, phenomenal homes and marriages happen. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'll just piggy off what you said about focusing on marriage. I'll say, don't only focus on marriage, invest in your marriage.
Yeah.
Everything that grows requires an investment. You plant a seed into the soil, you invest water, you invest sunlight, you invest fertilizer, it grows. You married a woman, you're not going to, or you married a man, that relationship is not going to grow if you don't invest in it. You have to invest in communicating that you love. Invest in knowing their love language. Do they like gifts? Give gifts. Do they like acts of service? Serve. Do they like to hear that they are loved? Tell them. Do they like to be touched? Touch them. But whatever it is that the person's love language, implement it more and more. Invest in it. Many people, when they have challenges in their marriage, now find a third party to be spending time with, or a third party to be talking to. That's not investing in what you're doing. That is focusing on your circle of concern and shrinking your circle of influence. So you want to invest in it. And you want to know that everything in this life has a baby stage and an adult stage. And for any child to grow, it's because you are feeding a child. If you don't feed your child will be stunted. If you don't feed your marriage will be stunted. If you don't feed, that relationship, it will not grow. Feed it with communication. Let it allow your spouse to breathe. feed it with expression. Give them expression. Invest in the things, their own career, the things they love. Help them fan their fires into flames. Their smoke, fan into flames. Do all of those things so that you are on a pathway of growth. And then, if you are unfaithful to your spouse, and I think this is very important, because people won't tell you, sometimes when you want to dig into people's relationships, if you dig and get to the roots, you will find that at the root of that relationship, there's something else that is distracting somebody. Okay? So manage your distractions. Be faithful to your spouse. And if you have not been faithful, come back, reorganize where your resources are.
Repent.
And repent. Somebody, the Bible says, where a man's treasure is, that's where his heart to be. If you want your heart to be at home, put your treasure at home. Once you begin to put your treasure outside, your heart will be going po. Yeah. So if you focus your energy and focus your resources in one direction, your heart will learn to follow that direction as well. So there's a way to train your heart, is by throwing value ahead of it. Yeah.
Well, interesting. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for giving us this loaded learning today. I'm sure a lot of people have learned a lot from here. We appreciate you so much. Now, before we finally close up, I would like to just get your thoughts on Rings That Bind, what we are doing here. If you have any recommendations or so for us, we'll be glad to hear it.
Yay.
So,
Well, I think what you're doing is there's a huge need that you're feeling. I think that, what we get to hear, social media amplifies, is the fact that people have lost faith in the institution of marriage. And, you see young ladies, they're not even aspiring. When we're younger, hey, one of the things we're looking forward to is that I'll marry, and all of that. There's no excitement, there's no, because that people have lost faith and all of that. So there's a lot of value that you are given by reinforcing, the institution, the fact that the institution is still the best place where lives can be molded. It's still the best culture shaper. It's still the best society molder, and you're bringing forward couples who are sharing their stories and who are reinforcing in the hearts of people again that they shouldn't lose faith in the institution. The fact that they deserve to have a good home, a good marriage, I think is phenomenal. I would just like to encourage you to keep it up. Sometimes when something is just fueled by passion, sometimes you're a bit, so let me just rest a bit. I just like to encourage you that what you're doing is far, far reaching and it's transgenerational. If I must tell you that anything that helps people to be able to solidify the base of marriage and be able to raise godly children and society shapers is doing something that is transgenerational. So please don't forget it. Anytime you want to feel somehow like, oh, I'm not sure, just know that what you're doing, is going to be beyond you and even beyond the generation that you're impacting currently. So please keep up the good work. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So what I'll say as well is, I'll just pick up what you said. Marriage is an institution that is taking a lot of bashing today. People trend when they break up. People don't trend when they get married. People don't trend when they celebrate 20 years. When there's a marriage that you like that breaks up, it trends. And I think we need to show, we need to teach a lot of how to show people, people who are getting it right, showcase the right values, teach people what they need to do, the rules they need to keep for themselves, how to fasten their seatbelts, how to cruise. And I think you're doing a fantastic work of pushing that content out, interviewing different people, showing the bright side, showing how it works, showing happy couples. I think, sometimes when you're doing something and you don't see the result of what you're doing immediately, you get tired.
Yeah.
But I want to encourage you and tell you that for some of this work, the reward, and that's what I say to myself as well. Some of the reward, most of the reward, you won't get it here. One of the things I look forward to is standing before God and God showing me 5 million people that came to him because of me. And I'm like, I don't know these people. I only know one of them. And then he shows me the network marketing diagram of how the person that I know told somebody else, who told somebody else, who told somebody else, who told somebody else. And it grew that way. And I really would like to have that surprise in heaven, of having more results than I imagined. And not get to heaven and say, but I saw 1 million people in my lifetime, and say, all of them went back home. There's only 2 that is left. I want to have, and I think those are the kind of testimonies that you can share, because what you're doing, will outlast you.
Yeah.
Will be there when you're not there. And somebody will get blessed by something, a question you ask somebody, that person answered, and that blessing you don't know is connected to you somehow. And all of that referral bonus is available for you in eternity.
Amen.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And I like the way you are a master in using metaphors. I've always loved that about you, sir. The way you use metaphors. Now, you just use 2 metaphors. You use network marketing, you use the tennis, and it was so beautiful, so apt. Thank you so much for all that you do. We can only pray that God continues to strengthen you to do more in your field and with the people that he has entrusted into your hands. Listener, I'm sure you have been blessed today. I'm sure you have learned something definite that you can use. Don't forget, this is our 12th episode. We'll be having the 13th episode next week. And after that, we want to have a special episode. So send in your questions, send in your comments. If you want to even be on the show, let us know so that we can do that special episode together. And then remember also that our partners, BridgeAfrique magazine, is coming up with a talent show. It is called 72 hours of history. It's going to be having inmates in one place who will be trained, who will be taught, and eventually a winner will be picked up. Keep up with us here, because as soon as the date is ready and the information for how to register is available, we will let you know. Have a beautiful night rest and see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Good evening, listener. This is Ring